Adventure in Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Wake up, America! It's time for the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY.com, West Palm Beach's #1 internet radio station. Here's your host, the Pipeman.
The only gods, the gods of rock and roll. The gods of rock and roll.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman W4CY Radio. I'm very excited about our next guest and the music that just came out. So I'd like to welcome to the show, who needs no introduction, Billy Morrison. How are you?
Thank you. Actually, you know, I do need introductions sometimes. I'm the guy that knows the guy.
I know, right?
That's been my whole career. The guy that can get us to the guy. And so this whole album cycle has been about, well, actually, I can also play music myself, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it's kind of like one of those things where you go to shows and bands or artists will play a song and people are like, oh, I didn't know that was them.
Yeah, there's that. There's also a generational thing. I mean, you know, when Paul McCartney got up with, I can't remember who, a Miley Cyrus or one of the new breed, and you know, their fans were going, I don't know who that old guy is, but he's really lucky to be on stage with whoever it was. So there's a generational thing, and that's fine. That's inherently the essence of the music business.
Yeah, totally. And you know what? It's so funny because I remember when that happened recently. I was like, that's pretty funny. Or, you know, there's so many bands you could say that about, you know, or what the youth today considers a certain type of genre that really is not what it was then. You know,
I agree with that. I mean, the whole genre thing, the whole point of the Morrison Project album cycle has been to try and break down some of that genre shit, because
I love it.
You know, radio is very format driven. And if you release a song and it doesn't fit into that station's format, they're not going to play it. And that's fine. But the issue I have with that is the people that are listening to, let's say, AOR, adult oriented rock. They like a little bit of Train, right? But they also like a bit of Ozzy Osbourne.
Right.
And the people that are listening to Ozzy's Boneyard on Sirius are diehard Ozzy fans, but they're also listening to Linkin Park.
Right.
Which is over on Octane. And so music is very fractured through the radio format. So my album was, well, I listen to hip hop like a fiend. I listen to hip hop, old school NWA, Public Enemy, Cypress, DMC. Well, of course, there's a track with Cypress on the deluxe edition, which is wonderfully behind you there. Yes. And there's a track with DMC. There's a ballad with Linda Perry. There's a metal song with Ozzy. You know, fuck genres.
I love it because I talk about that all the time in my show. I so hate genres for multiple reasons. Like, okay, so you go back to the 80s and there was the genre gatekeeping, you know, and it's like, ooh, you can't like this music. It's new wave because you're a metalhead or anything like that.
It's always been the case. Yeah. The thing is, it has always been the case. When punk rock hit England in 1977, it was a backlash against bands like Yes and Genesis and Chicago and the big overblown bands. And you weren't allowed to like heavy metal except Motorhead. Right. Motorhead, punk rockers were allowed to like Motorhead. So, you know, as long as I remember, there's been these unwritten rules. And when you're 12 and the Sex Pistols are on TV, you are just going to be, well, fuck everyone else. I just like the Sex Pistols. But as you grow and mature, I mean, you know, I went through a Madonna phase. I loved Madonna. You know, in the 90s, she was amazing. You learn that the genre thing is a young thing.
Yeah. And, you know, it's funny because one of my friends now that I've interviewed a few times was a new waver. And I said to her the first time I interviewed her, I'm like, well, I'm going to say something I've never admitted, but I really liked you in the 80s. I just wasn't allowed to admit it. And now I can.
Yeah.
You know, and
right. And there are artists like Post Malone these days that are breaking down genres. You know, he popped over to the country world, and now he's putting out an album of Nirvana covers for Record Store Day. And, you know, that guy is multi-talented and multi-genre. And I like that we are smashing those genres a little bit. I mean, on the serious, you know, I obviously have 2 shows on Ozzy's Boneyard. But over at Octane, they have been so, I can't thank those guys enough, because they played Crack Cocaine and they've played Gods of Rock and Roll, which is a ballad.
Right.
And Octane is not a ballad-centric format, but those guys at Octane have shown me love. So even the formatted stations are willing to, you know, cross it over. Phenomenon is being played on Rock the Bells, which is a hip hop station. So my job is done here.
I love it. I love it. And, you know, there's so many micro genres and subgenres now that it's ridiculous. Like, I go on tour and I do coverage at music festivals in the US, UK, Europe. And it's like ridiculous. We do things when I do the interviews. I'm like, well, what would your genre be if it was just your band? Because that's what it's become. Like, it's like, it's so narrow, you know? And it does come out to be a funny thing, but I'm glad there's people like you that are showing that genre stuff is, to be blunt, a bunch of bullshit, because you're an artist. Okay. You shouldn't be locked into one type of music, you know? And it's like, it seems like if you try to branch out, because we all have different interests too that we want to explore, that you get punished for it, you know?
Well, only in the major world. I mean, you know, in the major world, they're throwing millions and millions of dollars at acts, and they want recoupment. They want their money back. So therefore, if you have a hit at, you know, modern rock, your next 5 singles better be modern rock, because that's where you've landed. And I've got $3 million into your band. So that's why I advocate independent music. My label, TLG Zoid, are fully independent and have embraced the fact that there's a hip hop song and a metal song and a punk song and a ballad on one album. They don't care.
I love it.
And you can only really do that at an independent level.
I love it. And I'm also thankful over here in the U.S. festivals have finally started to do that, because Europe has been doing that forever. But we're fine. Like, when you can have somebody like Joey Roll that's in pretty much every genre there is, and he plays a metal festival, and everybody, like, they're there to see him. All the metalheads are there to see him. That to me is beautiful. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's because Ozzy and Jelly Roll have been on the same stage together. And it's more of this smashing genres. And Danny Wimmer, who's a promoter here in America, he's had a lot to do with that. His festival bills have been really diverse. And also, if you want to go back to the Ozfest, you know, and Lollapalooza, those festivals, Lollapalooza had Ice-T and Susie and the Banshees on. And James and that's phenomenal. So it's always been there, but I like that. I like that the success of the Morrison Project has contributed to that smashing of genres.
It definitely has. And I also even dig, like, okay, so you redid the Ozzy song that you wrote with Ozzy in South America like forever ago.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
And it's like, I love what I saw where it was like Ozzy was like, it's finally finished. The song's finally finished.
Yeah. I was at Ozzy's yesterday, and we were talking about it. And, you know, it's a matter of, it wasn't that I didn't want to finish it 10 years ago. I didn't have the label behind me. Mm-hmm. I mean, people have to understand, adding a 59 or 60 piece orchestra and a choir and re-recording almost all of it costs money.
Yeah.
Right?
A lot of money.
And it's not, you get your wallet out. I've got $300 in my wallet. So I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I need
totally.
the people and the team behind me. And then there's timing. You know, at that time, my last solo album was coming out. I wanted the song, so we mixed it as it was, and it went on that album. But to finally have it finished in the way that Ozzy always heard it, that's a nice feeling.
And you did a phenomenal job, because Gods of Rock and Roll was always a great song, but I think adding everything that you added to it it made it a complete song, like a just complete sensory experience.
Well, I think it's a new song. It's so different that it's a new song. And that's, you know, in part, that's thanks to Fred Coury. You know, the drummer of Cinderella, who knew, is an incredible orchestral arranger. And when that came on my desk, I was like, yeah, well, first of all, I was a big Cinderella fan, a great band, love Fred. Let's hear what he can do. And that's what he can. I didn't have any part in that. He sent me an arrangement, a digital arrangement, and I was like, this is amazing. And then we made it into a real orchestra. The Budapest Orchestra actually recorded it.
I love it. I love it. And, you know, your project is just, I think everybody needs to get the Billy Morrison Project, because it's so good for everybody.
I would like that if everyone bought it.
Well, how do they buy it? Let's tell them that right now.
Oh my God. I mean, my label has made this so it's when they say available everywhere now, it literally is. Any online, if you go to Amazon or Walmart or Target, you can order the album and it comes. CD, vinyl, digital. Like if you're on Spotify, it's on Spotify. It really doesn't take much. So it's not like it's a hard to find album. The job that I have, which is why I'm doing your show, is to tell people it's out there. That's the difficult thing in this world. It is a good album. I'm really proud of it. And, you know, features all my big shot friends, Al Jurgensen, Linda Perry, DMC, Ozzy Osbourne, Billy Idol. They're all on there, right? Corey Taylor from Slipknot, Steve Vai, Steve Stevens. So for an album to be out there, you've just got to tell people that it's there and they will like it. So my job for the last year has been doing this.
And it's a testament to you that all of those artists are on the album, because that says a lot. You know, that, you know, an artist is not going to put their name on something unless they think it's good.
And they're my friends. And, you know, they all know that I have and would always step up for all of them. This was not an album put together by a bunch of managers and agents and discussing the deals. Every single artist on this album said yes, because I personally asked them, hey, I've got this song. And without question, all of them went, yeah, send it over. And they sang on it and it came back and then we mixed it. And that is a testament more to friendship, real friendship, than business.
I love it. And that's what it should be in music, really. I mean,
that's few and far between in this game.
I know. And, you know, like, I think it's great nowadays that there is a lot more of the independence and the record labels not involved. I was there in the 80s in LA on the Sunset Strip and watching what happened backstage. And I'm like, yeah, I think the artist should be deciding what the music sounds like, not the suits.
Yeah, well, we've all been through that. And I'm just very fortunate that I have complete and utter creative control, even down to even down to the imagery and the videos and all the still photography. It's all my people. I had a photographer for the whole album cycle. So every photograph that you see on social media, album covers, behind the scenes video, all done by the same person. The videos were all produced by me. So I had creative control over how it looked. That's a true independent project where the artist retains creative control.
And the proof there is the video for Gods of Rock and Roll, because that truly represents the spirit of the song itself.
And my friendship with that man, you know?
Yeah.
The video was directed by Ivo Raza, who also directed the Crack Cocaine video, so Ozzy was familiar with him, and he likes Ivo. And the idea with that was purely I want the intimacy of my friendship with Ozzy captured, and that's what was captured.
So I do have a funny quick story for you about Ozzy. For me, like I was pretty much at every Ozfest there was. I had Blizzard of Oz on the 8-track tape.
Oh yeah.
But I had this history class at Agora High School, and the teacher of the class was not the history teacher. He went on leave, so they made a music teacher the teacher of the history class. So he had one assignment for the whole semester, and that is do an oral presentation on any subject you want, no matter what. So mine was for history class on Ozzy, and I got an A.
Perfect. I would hope you got an A on Ozzy. Yeah.
Yeah, right. For a history class, it's great. I love it. So tell everybody how they can reach out to you on socials, on the web, all that pertinent information, or anything else they need to look out for.
I mean, again, that's blatant self-promotion, and I am so easy to find, you know. If Google is your friend, you put my name in Google and there's all the stuff, and it's all out there. You've just got to have an ear for discerning rock music, you know. Yeah, not prepackaged plastic rock. This is the real deal, and I'm proud that the album is authentic. It's a set of 12 songs. Actually, with the deluxe, I guess it's 18 songs, which is awesome, that are all from my journey. So
I love it. And what I love about it too is, okay, so we all have our like favorite types of music we listen to, but we all listen to all types of music, and it depends on our vibe or mood at the time. Yeah. You know. And
well, I guess that's the thing with the Morrison Project. If you're feeling a little angry boy, you know, you can play Dystopia. That'll start you up. And if you're feeling a little like weird and dark, you can play We Are the Dead. You know, if you're feeling like a white boy Eminem, you know, wannabe Public Enemy Chuck D rapper, you can play Just Like a Movie or Phenomenon. It's all in there for you.
I love it. And it's true. Like I can sit and listen to your album, and I can go through all of my moods and all my personalities all on one album.
Right.
Any final words you want to give the listeners, or anything else they should look out for at this point?
I don't think so. I think thank you to everyone who's embraced it already. And if you haven't checked out Gods of Rock and Roll, it's going to #1, just like Crack Cocaine did. So go check the song out. Go check the video out. It's easy to find. Gods of Rock and Roll is out now.
Well, you are truly one of the gods of rock and roll, and I thank you for bringing music to us and helping us through everything, because that's what music does.
Yeah.
You know, and takes us on a journey and takes us away from all the bullshit in life. And thank you for being on the Adventures of Pipe Man.
Thank you for having me. Hey, I'm Billy Morrison, and you are listening to Pipe Man on W4CY Radio.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipe Man on W4CY Radio.